I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and today we're going to be taking a detailed look at the Bamboo Sports No-Show Bamboo Socks, which I've been testing for the last month. Let's dive in. So starting off with the materials on these socks here, it's in the name, so it's pretty self-explanatory, but they are 80% bamboo, 15% polyester, and 5% spandex. So this gives you kind of a mix of different things. They're both antibacterial, antimicrobial, and moisture wicking, but they are really soft. So if you have issues with merino wool, then bamboo is a really good option for you. Some people, have a bit of a reaction with merino where it's a little bit itchier or their skin gets a little bit irritated. These ones here, I would say the biggest benefit of them is that they are super, super soft. So when you put them on your feet, they feel really lightweight, they feel very soft, but that does come with a few caveats. So I have 3 different pairs here. They do come in a 3-pack. This for me is I've been testing the medium here. I have size kind of ranges between 7.5 to 8.5, usually generally falling around a size 8 foot, and the mediums fit really well on me. So they do have a sizing chart that you can reference, and they fit pretty true to size. So these 3 pairs here, you can kind of see like the range of quality on the bottom of the sock here. So these ones obviously I've worn the most, these ones second most, and then these ones have not been worn at all. So I can bring them a little bit closer. Each of them on the very bottom of the sock have that big Bamboo Sports label, but you can't see it on the top of the sock. So if logoing isn't your thing, then once you put the shoes on, or the socks on rather, you can't see it since it's on the bottom of your foot. These ones here, I have a couple of wears in as well. And then these ones you can see are really the most torn up between the 3 of them. So looking at, first of all, just sort of how the actual sock is. So on the very bottom here, you have this sort of like cushioned footbed. It's like the cushioned heel, and then it's just a little bit thicker material right on that bottom side, and then at the toe, and then at the heel. And so what that does is just add a little bit of extra comfort, add a little bit of extra cushion, and a little bit of extra material on the bottom as well. But the breathability really comes in with this top part of the sock. You can see my hand fully through this, and that is, a lot of where that breathability comes from. These socks, you can't really see them when they're in your shoe just because of where they fall around the ankle, depending on the shoe, of course. But what's really nice about this top bit is that it does add a ton of breathability. I would say I didn't feel that they were more or less breathable than merino, but in general, they felt a lot softer on my feet. So again, going back to that, if that's something that's a huge deal breaker for you, then in terms of comfort, these are really great. So they do have, at the very back here, a little bit of silicone. You can kind of see it, it's like a little bit of a zigzag. There's 3 separate lines here, and that does help it grip on the back of your ankle. I had a hit or miss kind of feeling with this. Sometimes it really kept it in place, and then sometimes I'd go to put my shoe on and the sock would shift anyway. And so it, generally speaking, was pretty easy to readjust the sock within my shoe once I actually got it on, but I didn't feel that this gave a ton of extra grip. In general, it sort of ended up just like kind of going wherever it wanted to anyway, but it does add a little bit, or at least enough, more than if they hadn't been there in the first place. So another thing to note about this material here is that after the first wear, it got super fuzzy. And so you can kind of see like where it had gotten fuzzy on this pair here, like at the very top. Kind of like a peach fuzz, and that happened pretty much immediately. Like within the first wear, they were like shredding on the bottom almost, but it just eventually, like the more I washed them, just turned into pilling. But you can see there's like the actual like kind of strings coming apart from the socks themselves. It's coming off pretty easily. Some like threading, it looks like that's coming loose. And so in general, like the more I wore them and the more I washed them, then the more they started not necessarily like falling apart, but definitely I could see those blemishes start to come through in terms of, how it was constructed. So you can see like this first one here, it's very nice and smooth and nice and soft and stretchy and white, and then it kind of descended pretty quickly. But These were the ones that I wore the most, and you can see on the very bottom that they are quite torn up. They're still pretty comfortable, but they do just pill so easily. In terms of smell or that sort of like antibacterial benefit, I got about 2 wears out of them before I started to really notice a smell. So I would say, you know, if you were planning to bring a pair of socks that you would wear for like 3-4 days at a time, then maybe keep in mind that these ones may not be the best for that, depending on your feet, depending on what you're doing. I generally run a little bit hot, and so, you know, even the most breathable socks still feel pretty tight for me, and still feel pretty hot. But in general, like if once I, you know, wore these a couple of times, I really did start to notice a smell to the point where I wanted to wash them. And then when I did wash them, they sort of came out this way at the very end. So in general, very comfortable sock. I would say in terms of the actual materials, it kind of leaves a little bit to be desired. I would say that if you were looking for something just mainly on the softer side as an alternative to merino, then bamboo is a really great option. However, if you're looking for something a little bit more durable that's going to stand the test of time, then I would look more towards a merino option in comparison to these ones. So there you have it, the Bamboo Sports No-Show Bamboo Sock. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.